Good Friday morning. It's July 10th. Man, this month is racing along. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, and this is the Weather Desk, where we tackle today's top weather headlines. We're going to talk about what's going on, our weekend preview. We're going to get to that since it's just about here. We'll talk locally and nationally what you can expect. I'll also have the full tropical update, not only the Atlantic, but we'll talk about the Pacific, a few areas we're watching there, and then Typhoon Bobby getting closer to Taiwan, although it looks like the center probably passing just a little bit north of Taiwan and then headed towards China. As we take a look out west, wildfires continue to rage out there around Pueblo, Colorado. We'll have an update on that situation, and we'll take you back over to Spain. Some unfortunate information from Europe with fire fatalities increasing, and so are the deaths related to hot cars. I think the count now out west or across the country is up to 10, and that's just, it's terrible. They continue. There's some important reminders and why there's a greater concern over this coming week. Heat stroke help. A way to treat heat stroke out in Arizona is showing some real promise, some signs that this could really help people who suffer heat stroke. We'll explain what's going on out there, and we'll also talk about when we're going to see relief from the heat and the humidity here in Hampton Roads. A lot to go over with today's edition of the Weather Desk. Let's start off with that weekend preview. We can take a look, and right now, sunshine across the area. You can see the skies are mainly clear with all of our Thompson Creek Window Company sky views. As we look hour by hour through the day today, temperatures warming into the mid-90s. Heat index values 100 to 103. Very hot, very muggy out there. There'll be a chance for a stray shower storm late, but I really wanted to key in on those temperatures because I stepped out, had to run a couple things out to the car earlier this morning, and it was already feeling very oppressive. It's just going to get worse through the afternoon. For Saturday in Hampton Roads, low 90s, chances for showers or storms to develop. Still hot and humid, but a front comes through during the day on Saturday, triggering a few of those areas of wet weather. And then Sunday will be cooler, mid-80s, still a chance for a shower or storm Sunday, mainly earlier in the day. We'll break all of that down. Across the region, you can see the temperatures mid-80s around D.C., chance for showers or storms on Sunday around Charlottesville. A little bit cooler up towards Roanoke, some showers in 79 there, 83 in Raleigh on Sunday. That's after highs tomorrow in the low 90s. And we'll see in Richmond those temperatures turning a little cooler Sunday. For the Outer Banks, really comfortable by Sunday. It's still very warm for Saturday, but Sunday will be cooler. Let's take a look at what's going on nationally for the weekend. Saturday looking pretty good up around New York City and Boston, close to 80 in Cleveland. Hot down in Orlando and New Orleans, chances for showers and storms there. Also unsettled weather in the central U.S. down through Houston. Dallas still hot, Oklahoma City hot, and that heat dome continues out west. Vegas at 111, 110 in Phoenix. Temperatures cooler right along the coast there. As we take a look at Sunday, better chances for those showers or storms as we go early in the morning, especially down to the south, that front through, and that's going to be a little bit of a trigger there. Down in Orlando, Atlanta, more wet weather for Louisiana as well. You see the chances for storms, Little Rock and Houston back towards Dallas. Nice around Chicago on Sunday, and things looking pretty good out west. Still very hot, and that's going to be a big story. We'll address more on that coming up in just a bit when we talk about the heat conditions and the outlooks. All right, here's the tropical weather outlook. I mentioned in the Atlantic, things have been pretty quiet. We are getting into the busier time of the year now that we're approaching the back half of July. There's still a lot of Saharan dust that's been moving across the waters. The sea surface temperatures plenty warm to support tropical development, but we have the super El Nino forming, and that should be a little disruptive. So as we continue to watch for the conditions, the El Nino developing and strengthening, and then the Saharan dust, which continues to roll across the Atlantic basin, those are acting to prohibit development right now. And at this point, no storm development or tropical activity expected for the next 7 days. The Gulf looks good, the Caribbean and the main development region very, very quiet right now. We'll turn our attention from the Atlantic back across the eastern Pacific. We do have some areas we're monitoring. This area here likely to develop staying west of the Mexican coastline, but this is an area that will likely see some development. And then we've got a couple areas south of Hawaii. This is expected to move to the west, missing Hawaii down to the south. but those areas do bear watching. Good chances for development, especially that area off the Mexican coast. Now, as we take a look over in the Western Pacific, we have Bavi. And Bavi, here's Taiwan. And you can see China here, Shanghai, right there. As it moves along, it is forecast to continue spinning that center, passing just north of Taiwan. Still a lot of rain with that, but the heavier rain in that landfall right there along the Chinese coastline. As we take a look at the latest, remember, this is the same system that passed really right around Guam, just off the center to the north of Guam. It passed between Guam and Saipan. As it moves along to the northwest, it's expected to weaken a little bit. Right now, the winds are at 85. It'll be at 85 tomorrow morning, and then making that landfall most likely as a Category 1 typhoon coming in. And again, that rain will eventually dissipate as the system weakens over China, but China has been hit. So we're going to continue to watch that. We've been watching Bavi for a while, and this morning, as it approaches Taiwan, Bavi has weakened. It isn't expected to make that direct landfall, but it will likely bring heavy rain and strong winds to the East Coast. Authorities have already distributed sandbags, prepared emergency shelters, and placed military vehicles on standby for possible evacuations. Here's another look at Bavi as it approached a chain of small Japanese islands. This time-lapse showed a waterspout forming off the coast of Hatoma, which is about 260 miles away from Taiwan. Very cool to see that. Love to see the weather video. So we'll keep an eye to Bavi. We'll let you know what plays out over the weekend. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, hundreds of firefighters on the ground in Colorado working to put out the Aspen Acres wildfire. We'll hear from a few of them and get another check on their progress. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. You know, you take a look at different hot spots across the country. Not everywhere where you see the flame are there active wildfires. A lot of this data is collected from satellites that can trigger, or not trigger, but they pick up areas where it's abnormally hot there at the ground level. And there are some different fires that are associated with some of these things, but a lot of them already extinguished. As we take a look, one area that continues to be a big problem is not far from Pueblo, Colorado. Firefighters there are making progress putting out the Aspen Acres fire. It's been burning in Pueblo, just south of Colorado Springs, for more than a week now. And it's scorched nearly 100,000 acres, but it's now 20% contained. More than 1,700 firefighters from 29 states are on the ground helping put out the flames. Danny Mata heard from a few of them.
The campus of CSU Pueblo has become Firefighter City. It's where the guys with boots on the ground come after battling the blaze. They can get a bite to eat, and if they're lucky, about 5 hours of sleep before getting back to it.
I'm working night shift, so that's always a little rough as a firefighter to transition, try to sleep during the days. But they have some pretty good places for us to sleep. I'm in a dorm with 3 other firefighters that I'm working with.
Oh, we're in a tent. It's great, man. I love the outdoors, so I just never, like when you're camping, you're usually camping just with your family and stuff, but out here, we consider each other family, so we're a big family just camping in a big area, you know what I mean?
You'll see Firefighter Cities pop up anywhere where there's a major fire. While it may not be home, it becomes a type of community.
There's a camaraderie that exists in a fire camp. And probably the only people who can really understand what that's like are those who are veterans among us. We essentially come in and build a small city. So we have a caterer. Maybe we get showers in.
Fighting this fire has been extremely tough.
You would get days where it just wouldn't do anything, and then you would get a day where you would just get a 30-mile-per-hour wind and it would just push that fire and it would move fast.
This one seems to be kind of an amoeba just growing around everywhere out there.
But between the rain and the national reinforcements, they say they're making progress.
Weren't quite sure, if we were going to be able to stop fire from getting into some of the communities, but at least in some of the areas that I've been working in out there, we are starting to get a hold on pieces of it.
Those firefighters, the men and women out there that serve in combating that stuff, it is such important work, and a lot of them can find themselves in difficult situations there as conditions change. So that is something we fully appreciate, and it's really cool to kind of hear how they set up and basically build these temporary cities to fight some of these massive wildfires. We'll turn our attention from Colorado out to Spain, and they have been dealing with a lot of trouble as well, both Spain and France. Wildfires have been burning across Europe, and they're battling these flames in France and also Portugal. So France, Portugal, and Spain. Now, this is a look at the flames in southern Spain where the fires have turned deadly. We now know at least 12 people have died near Almeria, and 19 others are missing. Officials are calling this wildfire the most devastating the area has ever seen, and hundreds of residents have been forced to leave their homes. The region has been under high temperature warnings in recent days, and that heat continues to be a big problem out there. You can see, again, Europe not used to the types of heat that they've been seeing. Madrid has 95 degrees right now, Bordeaux at 90, 91 in Paris, so that heat continues for France and also Spain especially. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, a reminder for parents as the West Coast braces for dangerous temperatures, why hot car deaths are continuing to occur, and how you can help prevent it from happening to your family. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. You know, you look at these highs. Vegas 111, 113 yesterday. Lots of heat in the central U.S. from Wichita to Dallas and San Antonio. Hot in Little Rock, Atlanta, Orlando, and we hit 94 here in Hampton Roads. The heat is out there and a heat dome is building out west. The West Coast is bracing to feel this heat dome. And again, we experienced some of those extreme temperatures last week. They're getting ready for another round. Officials are reminding parents to be extra cautious. This year alone, at least 10 children in the U.S. have died inside hot cars. Christiana Cordero heard from experts about why this keeps occurring and how to help prevent it from happening to your family.
It's a tragedy that happens far too often in the U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration data shows on average 37 children die inside hot cars every year. This past May, authorities were able to rescue 3 children and an infant in Georgia left in a hot vehicle while police say their parents gambled.
Baby is screaming at the top of her lungs.
In this dramatic police body camera video, an officer acts fast to extract a 1-month-old baby accidentally locked in an SUV as their distraught mother looks on. But some are not so lucky. In Broward County, Florida, 2 toddlers died in less than a week. The father of the first claims he went to pick up his child at daycare only to realize he never dropped him off. Another child brought to the hospital unconscious and not breathing by a babysitter.
Sleep deprivation, changes in routine, and stress can lead to children being unintentionally left behind in vehicles.
In Arkansas, Sergeant Todd Krausen demonstrates how quickly temperatures escalate inside a car.
The current temperature right now is 91 degrees. We just opened the door and just pointed it at, just even at the dash, is showing almost 130 degrees.
That is a deadly environment for anyone, but especially for a child.
They have higher metabolic rates compared to adults. Their internal temperature climbs a lot higher within a shorter amount of time.
New car warning systems that alert you when someone has been left behind might be a true lifeline, but for those without the latest tech, there are simple ways to remind yourself as well.
You can create a habit of always checking the back seat for every car ride, even when your child isn't with you, by placing something of yours in the back.
Doctors stress the importance of quick action when encountering anyone trapped in a hot car. Survival hinges on getting their blood temperature down before organ failure begins. Christiana Cordero, ABC News.
And you can see the heat warnings and advisories that are out. We'll take a quick look here. Southern California, still parts of Arizona, including Phoenix, under extreme heat warning. But the advisories for a good section of California, Nevada, up into Idaho. Look at the extreme heat warnings all the way up into North Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, back into Utah and northwest Colorado. Along the East Coast, we still have extreme heat warnings there. And for our area, down to the south of the Albemarle Sound and along the southern Outer Banks, there is a heat advisory. It's already been a hot summer, especially down in the southwest. Talk about Arizona here, where temperatures regularly exceed 100 degrees. When responding to heat-related calls for help, the Phoenix Fire Department is one of the few departments in the country to use water immersion bags to help cool down patients.
We're going to put the patient into it. We're going to pour ice into that. We're going to put water into it. And they're going to transport that person. We have statistics from the emergency rooms that tell us we start with a person that is at 108-degree core temperature. We hypothermically now shock them with that ice. They get to the ER and their temperature is 100 degrees. Massive difference.
The Phoenix Fire Department says it has used the bags more than 40 times this season alone, and they've seen positive results. That's awesome. All right, that's a live look outside. Right now, the sun is shining. We'll talk severe weather and the outlook for Hampton Roads coming up. Welcome back to the weather desk. All right, high pressure is in control over the southeast U.S. We've got a lot of hot weather. We've talked a lot about that. You'll notice some wet weather out to the west. There's a frontal boundary here carving across Indiana, Illinois, and northern Missouri. They've got some severe weather back across central Missouri. You can see to the south of Jefferson City and Columbia, Missouri. You get down here, there's a thunderstorm warning. They've had some flood advisories and warnings as well. We'll continue to watch that, but here in Hampton Roads, you need to have your guard up because we do have that chance this evening for a couple of isolated severe storms. It's just a marginal risk. This area shaded in green that extends from Ohio and Pennsylvania down through the Carolinas and back across northern Georgia into Kentucky, Tennessee. There's that level 2 or slight risk for a good section of Missouri into Illinois, and there's also a slight risk out around the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma, southwest Colorado as well. So that's the outlook for today. For us, the threat here is just gusty winds, and really the tornadic threat is pretty low across the country. I took a look at the specific tornado outlook, and they weren't really doing much. I think they need to be aware of what's going on across Missouri, certainly, as you can still get an isolated tornado, but the primary threat will be gusty winds and maybe some hail a little farther to the west. For tomorrow, that threat settles a little farther to the south, Tennessee into Arkansas. We are still under that marginal risk for North Carolina and for Virginia, so we're going to be watching that. Right now, full sunshine with the Thompson Creek Window Company Skyview at the airport. A few fair weather clouds, 81, the dew point at 73, and winds are light from the west at 5 miles per hour. Highs today into the mid-90s at the ocean front. It's beautiful, but you're going to feel that heat with the humidity. It'll feel like it's over 100 degrees this afternoon. Tomorrow, those feels like temperatures into the 90s. We've got some relief coming later in the day. Now, the temperature over the next 10 days after dropping a little bit tomorrow, we'll see significantly cooler weather later Sunday into Monday, and then another heating as we go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Those temperatures heating back up into the 90s, so get ready for that. Now, the futurecast shows the chances for a few stray showers late afternoon, maybe a couple of storms here or there. We do have that risk of a stronger storm or two into the evening as well, so we'll watch for that. Tomorrow morning, showers or storms develop. We've got a front coming through, and note the winds coming around to the north. So while we have chances for showers or storms, I think we'll see some breaks as well. But the big news, the cooler air moves in for Sunday. Sunday, I still expect some showers in the morning, but things improve later in the day. Finally, some cooler and drier air settling in. That's great news. All right, at the beaches today, decent amount of sunshine this morning, a few more clouds this afternoon. Low risk of a shower or storm, but something to be mindful of. We'll talk about how you can always stay connected to our radar here in just a moment. Looking out on the water today, generally light winds and pretty flat sea conditions for both the seas east of Virginia Beach and the waves in the bay. Want to remind you, again, conditions can change around those storms that do develop, so be mindful of that. Mid-90s for most of the area today, low 90s at the beaches, upper 80s for the eastern shore around Matthews. Temperatures lower to mid-90s for the peninsula. Lots of heat there and down across North Carolina as well. Here's the rest of the 7-day forecast. Our temperatures will be cooling down Sunday into Monday, low to mid-80s. We'll take it. Lower humidity as well. Plenty of sunshine, but another warm-up through the middle of next week. Remember, with the chances for storms, the best way to stay in touch when you're away from the TV is with the 13 News Now mobile app. It's free and available on the App Store and Google Play. Scan that QR code and you will be in touch with our forecast updates, any special extended weather coverage, and of course our radars. Want everybody to be safe and have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.